Probably doesn't have, brings up some controversial feelings to people in the United States due to, terrorism and people directly associating Islam with terrorism.
I feel like that's really one class of people that are really misrepresented in media, and that's something that needs to change.
But I think historically speaking, a lot of things are overlooked, and a lot of advancements and a lot of progress is really discounted just because it's associated with Islam as a religion, and it's not really given a fair chance to be considered.
Boko Haram is kind of like classifying proper Islam in a certain way, in basically as kind of, in a sense, assigning a value or attributing an identity to certain groups of people, to say, okay, well, like, in order for you to be this, you have to be this, this, and this. I think that's really hard to do because everyone's different,
Muslim Americans and American Muslims, whatever you want to say, put it, either way, who have really contributed significantly to American culture and to Western civilization, while keeping, their own cultural heritage and roots, and upholding their own spirituality and religiosity. So I think it's very important not to see things as either or. Either you are an American or you are a Muslim, because I know so many Muslim Americans who have been very successful in their own careers, in their own professional life, while at the same time upholding their own faith and their own traditions, because these are not mutually exclusive.
We have a female graduate from our senior class this year. She's going to MIT next.
Congratulations.
Full scholarship. She also got a full Banneker scholarship to University of Maryland, full ride.
Wow.
And this particular graduate is also a black belt in Tang Soo Do, and she learned everything here. We have a martial arts school downstairs, like with all the mats and all that, and she got her black belt there, and she also memorized the entire Quran, like the whole thing, word by word. So, and that's also something she did here. So you have the traditional, you have the purely academic success that she's had, and also she's a very empowered woman. She's a poetry winner. She's won prizes in poetry, whatnot, and we have other people like that.
For me, it's a lot being a Muslim girl standing on the sideline of a football field of a Division I school, and it's something that a lot of people can say nor have the opportunity to do.
Two of my identities, my personal identities, that I find really difficult to find saliency in is my identity as a Muslim and my identity as an American. It's really hard for me to say Muslim American because I feel like to the Muslim community it might be a betrayal to call myself an American. To the American community it might be a betrayal to call myself a Muslim. And it's really hard because those are both really, really important parts of my life. And I think it's a struggle that a lot of Muslim Americans face, to be able to say something like that and not be seen as, well, you have to choose. You have to choose one or the other because you can't be both. But you can be. And hey, that's what I identify as. And I think that's a really difficult thing for people to see.
And that is something which is very important to acknowledge, because some people, when you say American Muslim or Muslim American, people think, oh, these newcomers who are just new immigrants who just came to the US. And that is not true. There's been a museum which is called the Museum of Islamic Heritage. And the Museum of Islamic Heritage really talks about some of the examples of the early pioneers, the early comers who came to this country, to the US from the very, very beginning of America. And they helped to build American society in so many different ways and in so many different venues. Not only education, agriculture, architecture, in all the different fields and all different walks of life. But that is something that many people may not know or may not talk about. Whenever you say American Muslim or Muslim American, they think only of newcomers and immigrants. And I think this is something which needs to be changed, and people need to acknowledge the fact that there were Muslim Americans from the very, very beginning of this country.
Muslims themselves often identify a golden age of Islamic civilization, and that is very often identified with the period of the Abbasid Caliphate, the heyday of the Abbasid Caliphate, from the 8th century of the Common Era till the Abbasid dynasty falls in the mid 13th century, but the flourishing period of the Caliphate actually is over long before that. But it is a time of particular cultural collaboration, cross-fertilization between various transcultural influences that reach back into traditions of late antiquity or even antiquity, with Greek philosophy, with other influences, Persian philosophy and so on. And there is a specific role that non-Muslim scientists, non-Muslim specialists of old languages, of old sciences play in bringing about this flourishing period.
And there is a verse in the Holy Quran that says, if God so wished, He would have created you all into one nation. But He has created you into nations and tribes so that you would get to know each other. So diversity is something which is acknowledged and in fact celebrated in the Holy Quran and in other religious scriptures, because this is God's will, that we are different, but within this difference there is also beauty, and there is also strength, and there is also value. If we are able to really admire and appreciate this value and bring it out to the light, we have a lot to gain and we have a lot to benefit from.